A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, and welcome to the show Reflections. Today we'll be discussing the verse Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَائِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا قَالَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي قَالَ لَا يَنَالُ أهد الظالمين. As usual, in what we do in this show, we take a verse or a hadith and we look at the contemporary relevance of that verse in light of life in society today. And what we'll be doing today with Sheikh Mulabah. Assalamu alaikum. And welcome to the show. Sheikh Mulabah will be helping us understand this verse better and to be able to apply it to looking at life and society today. Sheikh Mulabah, once again, welcome to the show. Sheikh, kindly tell us, what does the term Imam mean? Generally, when we look at this term, we tend to think of it as just being the leader of a prayer, congregational prayer, Jamaat prayer. Is it more than this?
Definitely yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير الأنام سيدنا محمد وآله الأطهار رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم أما بعد. The word Imam, as we can see, it's a word which has been used by, let's say, by many or by different meanings. And these meanings, some of them are really used by everybody, but others are very deep. And some of these meanings are very specific also. So, but generally, as we know, we understand that the word Imam, we know it as an Imam in prayers because usually we go for prayers. But when we try now to dig out the meaning of Imam, we'll find that an Imam is a learned person, let's say usually, and such a person who is really an example for others to be followed. A person who normally is supposed to be imitated. So he comes first in front of the people. So he is the one who's seen by the people, and the people have to follow him. So this is another meaning here. And maybe also when we say Imam of Salat comes in that meaning also. That he is the one who is normally chosen to lead the people, you see. But usually also this word has been used in Arabic to mean, let's say, a head or a chief or a leader of a community. Of course, you can see once again the same meaning comes in here. So a person who is an object of imitation by other people, they find him as the one whom they are supposed to follow, you see. And of course, when it comes to let's say to politics also, you find that the chief of a tribe, the leader of a community, so is also known as Imam Qawm, you know. And usually they apply it for men and women also, so it can be also a woman.
Right.
So in this case, you find that a prophet who's really a person to be emulated, a person who's supposed to guide and lead others, comes as Imamul Qawm, or Imamul Ummah. So there is that Ummah, that nation, and he is normally at his time the leader, he is the Imam of the time. So there also it's applied as Imam here. And then you'll find that as it comes in this ayah, when we dig deeply here, we understand that Imam has a very specific meaning here. Because you'll find that it's applied here to Nabiullah Ibrahim alayhi salam. And here we know that Ibrahim salamullah alayhi was a Nabi, he was also a Rasul. But in this context, in this ayah, it comes say, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. It means when Allah has tried Ibrahim with certain commands, and then he fulfilled all of these commands. It means he was a prophet. He was a Rasul to a certain community. And then after fulfilling all of this, then he is now chosen. He's given that status of an Imam.
Right.
You see? So then we understand that it's a status, a mansab, which is higher even to that of Risala here. So that's when we say that it's really very deep. But also we can see in the Holy Quran the word Imam used at many places with specific meanings. For instance, you can see in this ayah when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ. So بِإِمَامِهِمْ ulama they have given different meanings. Some of them say imamihim or imamuhum here mean with their book testifying against them, their prophet. So you see here it's a bit specific here.
Right.
Quran also will talk about a book, Tawrat, as an imam also. So there is no problem also speaking that the Holy Quran is our imam. You see, a book testifying for us, guiding us, and so forth, in which we find guidance. We find in Surah Yasin where Allah says, وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. So Imam Mubin, once again, you'll find ulama will give different also tafsirs, meanings, but one of them is that Imam al-Mubin here is that Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. So anyhow, in one or another, I think we have gone through different meanings about what Imam normally will mean. It's not only a leader of a prayer or something like that, but
it's much more grander.
Much more than that. Means from that initial meaning, then there are other, let's say, derivatives of that word and with specific meanings also.
Sure, and I think if we look at what you were just saying, how Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam was first given the Risala, was Rasul, and then was appointed as Imam after proving himself to be steadfast and resilient and putting his entire life and all sacrificing fully for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was then that Allah gave him that appointment, you can say.
Definitely.
But now it would be interesting to discuss what's the relationship between being a Rasul and an Imam, because the Rasul in our general understanding brings in the message, the laws, the you can say the theoretical element of God's guidance, whereas then the Imam, what does he do in from the way I see it, he executes the laws.
He has to apply now the laws and reinforce all the laws to make sure that everything is there comes now that part here of an Imam here as an executor of the divine laws and make sure that everything is followed and obeyed, and definitely let's say put here that system, that divine system into place. Yes.
Because that Risala is not enough for it to be brought down, and obviously the holy prophets were great and pure individuals for them to receive it and collect it. But then that's, I guess, the first stage, and then the next stage would be the Imamate.
Definitely. And then you'll find, for instance, in this ayah, when Allah, the same meaning you mean when you see here is Ibrahim who's the Imam, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring in other prophets, showing that they were also Imams.
Yes.
And of course, that element which you brought here also will bring meaning here. When you find that prophet like Dawood, Sulaiman, who were not only prophet, but they were, we can talk today as really leaders who are implementing the divine laws into that society and make sure that that society is a divine society.
Yes.
Normally, usually I use this word, Allahcracy. I mean, it's a divine government here, whereby, you know, when you talk about democracy, then you talk about Allahcracy. It means a divine government, whereby all the divine laws are implemented, and the leader is supposed to reinforce that that part. So, for instance, in Surah al Anbiya, verse number 73, Allah says, وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِمْ فِعْلَ الْخَيْرَاتِ وَإِقَامَ الصَّلَاةِ وَإِيتَاءِ الزَّكَاةِ وَكَانُوا لَنَا عَابِدِينَ. So in the tafsir here, he say, وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً أي إِنَّنَا وَهَبْنَاهُمْ مَقَامَ الْإِمَامَةِ إِضَافَةً إِلَى مَقَامِ النُّبُوَّةِ وَرِسَالَةِ. It means we have given them the status of that imama, that leadership, which is above, that means besides the maqam of nubuwa and risala.
Right. Yeah, and this was a verse that was that is mentioned after the stories of several prophets.
Several prophets.
Of
of course,
prophets.
Ibrahim being included
being
in
one
that.
of them.
Yeah, one of them.
Okay, with that, we'd like to take a break, and we'll be back shortly, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, and welcome back to the show Reflections. And today we are discussing verse number 124 of Surah al Baqarah, which says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and when his Lord tried Ibrahim with certain words, he fulfilled them. He said, surely I will make you an imam of men. Ibrahim said, and of my offspring? And Allah replies, my covenant does not include the unjust. Prior to the break, we were talking about the meaning of the word imam, because that's the core statement in this particular verse, and how how the Prophet Ibrahim was granted the status of imamat, and what implications it has in general. If we look at now further with regard to the concept of leadership or imamat, you can say it's a logical and inevitable necessity. Wherever you have more than one person,
there must be a leader.
There must be a leader. Otherwise, we'll have chaos,
Definitely.
and mankind just cannot progress. So obviously, Islam being a divine and complete religion, it incorporates this aspect of reality from day one, from the time of Nabi Adam alayhi salam. Maybe if you can tell us a bit more about this aspect, and what is the Islamic prescriptions for leadership and a guide.
No. You see, as you said, leadership is a necessity, inevitable. means no way out. And if we can make it clear is that when we talk about leadership to any, let's say, to any nucleus, here we can talk about family, let's say, at that level, or we can talk at the level of a tribe or a clan, or we go further to the level of a community and then the nation.
And even a football team,
Definitely.
in simple terms, yeah. You have a
I can see-
captain. Yeah.
I can see that you're a good fan of football. Myself, I am. So anyhow, you see that there is necessity. I mean, there is no way out. We can say also it's innate. I mean, it's something which any human being finds that there is that necessity. Now, the matter comes is, as I say, the leadership in any community is like you talk about the head to the rest of the body. So the moment the head is not there, you can't talk about any human being or anybody. And then also the concept when will go further. When the head is sound, then the body definitely will be moved properly, or and of course the opposite.
Right.
So means Islam is a religion which, let's say, encompasses everything. Then it talks also about leadership as a very important element of any society. So in that case, you'll find that the Islamic concept is that there is what we can say an Islamic leadership, and of course the opposite of what is not Islamic is un-Islamic,
Correct.
is satanic. This one is divine, and this one is a satanic divine, satanic leadership. Of course, as we can see, Fir'aun was an imam also. Pay attention to that. Means he was an imam. There are many verses of the Holy Quran which are talking about a'immatu kufr. That means the leaders, the imams of the kufr. As we can say,
They take the people towards them.
So in that sense, Islam has normally given a lot of emphasis on that imama, that leadership. إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا. So definitely your wali, the one who's supposed to be your guardian, the one who's supposed to take over your affairs, to guide you, is definitely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your prophet, and then those who believe, those definitely who will be following the steps of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Rasul. Those the real believers. And then of course when we say the believers in this ayah, we do understand no one can step over the imam of the Ahlul Bayt. So in that sense, the leadership is clear in the Holy Quran. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the Prophet, and then those who believe, who are really the real followers, and then next to them and so forth. So, but what are the elements? What do these people have in reality? Why the Prophet? Because the Prophet himself is as the Quran says about Ibrahim is Ummah himself. It means he's that nation. He's that person who have all the virtues, the values to lead that community to success as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. It means he's a person who knows those laws. I mean, when you say laws, the natural ones and those...
Just for the viewers who don't know about this verse, can you tell us where this verse is from?
Yeah, طبعا, let me look for you this verse quickly here. I have it.
Because it's a very important one.
Very important. Ibrahim himself, he was Ummah, yeah? So... Inna Ibrahim kana ummatan. It's in Surah to Ibrahim, verse number 120. Yeah. So when we talk about that, is that then we understand that a leader, he qualifies to be a leader in this sense because he is so pure. It means his soul is immaculate. He is not a person to go against the laws established by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the nature. It means in the creation, in the takwin itself. And also he doesn't contravene the laws which are prescribed by Allah, which tally with those natural laws. So he is such a person who is immaculate. It means, if we talk in the sense of modern computers, it means the program installed in him is completely
It's perfect.
perfect.
Right.
So such a person qualifies. And next, I mean, when he qualifies, it means he's a person who has knowledge. He's a person who has full knowledge of these realities. There's al-ilm. And Quran will go on telling us, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Definitely those who fear Allah, it means who stay within the limits established by Allah, are the ulama, those who are vested with that knowledge, the taqween and that legal laws, you see. They have the full concept. So those people are the one who will stay within the limits. So we have the prophets, that's why they qualify to that. So they have knowledge, they have taqwa. That's why they qualify. So in the Islamic concept, the leader of the nation is the one normally who have these qualities, and the one who has the knowledge of the book. And he's the one, because he's taqwa, who can apply those laws and make sure that these laws are applied. Such a person definitely qualifies to be an imam. And that's what we talk about leadership in Islam. So we can say, once again, I can come to my concept, which I've said before. Allahcracy, it means is the government of Allah, by Allah, for Allah. It means when we say by Allah, it means the person who is the leader is the one selected by God himself, by Allah. And then, so he has the knowledge, he has the taqwa, and by Allah means by the laws of Allah, and for Allah to establish the kingdom of Allah on earth. That's it.
Now that has been seen in practice through the Anbiya and then the Ayn.
Definitely. We have Prophet Sulaiman, for instance, who has established an Allahcracy as a leader in all the spheres, establishing a kingdom, a divine kingdom, whereby the Torah is the law of the community and everything.
The constitution.
The constitution, definitely.
And what about after the Anbiya?
Yeah, of
after
course.
the final prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So when you see in this ayah, it doesn't only limit on the Anbiya. It doesn't say only, for instance, Ati'u Allah wa Ati'u Rasul. It's another ayah, which of course is elucidated by this one. This one say, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. In this ayah it comes, Ati'u Allah wa Ati'u Rasul wa ulil amri minkum. So you see, these verses explain each other.
Right.
Here they say obey Allah and the Prophet and those who are vested with, let's say, ulil amri, with authority. Here it says your guardian is Allah, is the Prophet, and those who believe. You see, so these verses, they explain each other. So here we understand that after the prophets, there must be people who really have the same capacity, the same capability to make sure that the system goes on. So these are the real believers here. So who have the qualities of immaculateness, purity, and everything, to make sure that they make that message continue on. Because if they are not there, it means there can be distortions and so forth.
Okay.
So the believers here come in. And as far as you asked here, when you talk about the last prophet, what happens? As far as the last prophet is concerned, you'll find that there are specific people which the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has guided us to follow after him. And we say once again, there is necessity of these people to be there according to the concept. I mean, it's an Allahcracy. It's not a business whereby people can come and start doing their elections as we see today in the modern world.
Right.
Whereby you talk about democracy. So anybody can come into the power. No, here it's a divine system whereby when the Prophet is not there, he must. I mean, specify to the people who are the people who must take that covenant with them and continue with the message. And here the Prophet has clearly mentioned that, and that's what we say, the Alu Rasul. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. These people of Ali Muhammad are what we call the holy Imams. So these holy Imams, starting by Imam Ali up to the 12th Imam, who's Imam Mahdi, these are normally the leaders, the Imams after the Holy Prophet. And I'll just give you a very important ayah here in the Holy Quran, and this is in Surah An-Nisa, verse number 73. No, it's not that one, it's this one, where Imam Muhammad al Baqarah is 54. Imam Muhammad al Baqarah, when he is explaining this ayah, he say, "Am yahsuduna an-nas ala ma atahum Allahu min fadli." Or these people are jealous of Am yahsuduna an-nas. It means, or they are jealous of the people. Which people? It means the Ahlul Bayt. For the fadl which Allah has given them. فَقَدْ آتَيْنَا آلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ, we have given to the Al Ibrahim al-Kitab wal-Hikmah وَآتَيْنَاهُمْ مُلْكًا عَظِيمًا. So the Al Ibrahim were given al-Kitab, the book, al-Hikmah, I mean the wisdom, and the Mulkan Azima, and the greatest kingdom. It means they are supposed to be obeyed by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the Mulk Azim. Me and you, we can make whatever we want to do, and then we can come to power. But these people are supposed to be obeyed by the command of Allah, Mulkan Azima. Imam Ali, you obey him.
By not only the human being, but all of creation.
Yes. Imam Ali, you obey him, or you don't obey him, he is the Imam of the time. No, he is in power, or he is not in power, he is the Imam of the time. Normally, if people come to know him, they are supposed only to obey him and not to obey any other person. You see? إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. So these are the people to be obeyed. It means أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا رَسُولَهُ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ. They are supposed to be obeyed by Allah. You can see how all of these verses, they come together and they explain each other. So we have given them mulkan azima. So Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam will explain and say that we are the people who are mahsudun. We are the people who are normally envied, by the other people. Allah has given us this power, this authority. And it's very strange that Allah has given to the Ali Ibrahim, and then people don't recognize that we are Ali Muhammad, and then we are given the same thing. So it's very strange. Means these are the Ali Muhammad. And normally if we talk about book, wisdom, and the Mulkan Azim, it means these people deserve more because they are the Ali Muhammad. These are the Ali Ibrahim. These are higher in status than the Ali Ibrahim. So this is just to make sure that after the Holy Prophet, we have the Alu Muhammad who have inherited the book, they've inherited the wisdom and the mulk. So these are the people who are the leaders after the Holy Prophet.
And that has carried on throughout the 12 holy Imams that followed.
Definitely.
However, the 12th Imam, Ajalallahu Ta'ala Faraja, has been in occultation for
a long time now.
For a very long time, almost 1300 years.
12 centuries now.
And that has left, you can say, not only the Ummah, but humanity without a leader. Whereas humanity's affairs are continuing. People are being born, there are social problems, there are political problems, there are all kinds of human problems which are only natural without a person to lead. So in this scenario, what becomes the prescription for the Ummah should it continue without leadership? What should it do?
Just allow me to correct one thing, if possible. Means we can't say that we have the world without leadership, or maybe a community without a leader, because the Imam is there.
Sure.
So we have the leadership. The problem is, do you recognize that leadership? Do you try to understand who is that leader? And that is also, we can say, is a responsibility on every person. I mean, as a human being gifted with the intellect, you must understand that there must be a leader. Why? So if the world, if the community, the ummah doesn't recognize him, it doesn't mean that he is not there. The leader is there. The leadership is well established. So Allah can't leave the world without a leader. It's out of question. So he's an occultation. It means he's functional. He's in office. It doesn't mean that he's out of completely of, he's not doing anything.
Okay,
so the imam
so
is
the
there.
question is how does a leadership is active when the leader is giving directives, reacting to situations,
Yes.
or foreseeing a situation that, okay, this so and so might happen, and this is how I'm going to protect them as a leader. So how is this being manifested if he is in office, or how should it be manifested?
You see, when we talk about today let's say we talk about the ummah, we talk about the leaders. We said that after the imam, it means that leadership will continue. It doesn't mean there are believers who are there with different stages. So we'll find that at the time of when the imam was in minor occultation, so we'll talk about the nuwab. But after the imam, after the nuwab, then comes that long period of grand occultation, whereby we have these, when you talk about the mujtahideen. So still we talk about the believers. And the imam has given proper guidance.
Guidelines, right.
That no, it's not any person. It's a person, a mujtahid, who has qualified himself for that, for that status.
A
for that.
faqih.
Yes, it means a faqih who has knowledge but also has taqwa. A person who was completely left this world. It means he's not a person who is behind this world, but a materialistic world, but a person who is really a divine personality. Those people are your guides.
Right.
And of course, when we say that the imam is in office, it means anytime when there is a need of a help, definitely he will help through these divine leaders. You see. So in that case, we talk about leadership being there. And the point is how the ummah, how the people react. Are they really ready to benefit from that leadership? Because there is another concept which we need to understand, that Allah will never change for a people if they don't want to change. So when the people will be really ready to support, to give whatever they want to make a change, either on a small scale or at a grand scale or at a universal scale, at that moment definitely this will be materializing.
And they need to have faith in this divine system.
Definitely.
Yes. Unfortunately, we look at these stories and these verses in the Quran, and we don't extract from it that this is our prescription for life, and that there is a strong messages of having a divine system, having good leadership, and as you said, the requirement to follow this leader and to desire it as well. And that's where I think we as ummah need to step outside of the traditional thinking of looking into the Quran and seeing it in terms of this guideline for the humanity.
There is a point here I would like maybe to bring forth here. You see, it means when you talk about humanity, when we talk about nature, sometimes you ask yourself questions. You say, my God, what happens here? You find there is a divine system here, a divine person who is completely selfless, a person who is there to sacrifice for other people. We can take example of course it's not bad to take such examples, but we need to recognize such personalities like Gandhi and others, you see. people have tried to remove that ego from themselves. And unfortunately, you find people are not ready to support that.
Right.
We found in history strange things when Imam Ali stands, and people are not ready because of that ego which they are fighting for their own
Power,
benefits
position,
and everything, position and everything. So there is a time when people will understand that a leader can't be like this. When people will change from within themselves, they say, no, if we want to reach here, we need to change ourselves. Means we need a person who can have mercy upon us, a person who is not egoistic, a person who is really ready to sacrifice for our lives. That is system which we want. And this definitely we are going towards that. We will achieve that because humanity is undergoing a certain experience and understanding that whatever we were trying and we have been trying is not successful. We have seen such we can't call them leaders, but we have seen such rulers who have been there just, and we call them our rulers, our leaders, or whatever it is, but they are not leaders. They are there just to exploit us and satisfy their own ego. But the world, there is a time when there will be changes because of all the tribulations and trials and everything. And in one way or another, we can say that people will be cleaned finally to understand this and be ready to sacrifice for a change. We have seen, let's say, in Iran what happened when there is a revolution which today is moving.
It's having a ripple effect.
Yes, definitely. Yes. So where people could sacrifice, could give their lives, understand that no, we can't continue with such people who are selling us towards that system. Now, if we want to reach to that system, we need to sacrifice. And alhamdulillah, today we have seen how that system has been growing up and growing up. So let us hope that that awareness will...
Inshallah. I would like to take a break now, and I want to come back to this very discussion about what we've seen in very recent history, specifically the Iranian Revolution as an example, and how we can sort of understand it better and learn from it, inshallah. We'll be back shortly after a few minutes. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Welcome back to the show Reflections. We're discussing verse number 124 of Surah al Baqarah, in which the main topic of discussion is leadership and how Nabi Ibrahim was granted the status of Imamah and what Imamat means in today's light. Prior to the break, we were discussing a recent example of a establishment of a divine system, specifically in Iran during the Iranian Revolution, or again, should I say the Islamic Revolution in Iran in 1979. We have a lot to learn from that revolution because that revolution was entirely based on this aspect of establishing a divine and godly system on this earth, in which a faqih of great character, great reputation, and the ability to sacrifice everything, specifically his ego, because we all know that Imam Khomeini had no personal intentions in the process in which he went through,
Yes, yes.
be it material or egotistical or in any aspect. What are the lessons we can learn from that revolution?
Definitely there are many lessons we can learn from that great revolution. First of all, this is an Islamic revolution, and following the Islamic guidances, basing itself on following the Quran, the traditions of the Holy Prophet, and of course the Holy Imams. So there are many lessons, but one of the lessons we can try to understand is that a change can't happen unless people do change themselves. And of course, I'm just giving this lesson because it's very important on an individual level, community level, or as a whole. You see, إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. It means it's a divine law. It means established in the natural system. Allah will never change for any people unless they change themselves. They want that change. And then we see in Iran with, of course, the help of the ulama, their instruction and their guidance, and the people ready to respond, to go for that change. Definitely they have brought down a powerful monarchy in the Middle East, which was supported by Americans, by Israel and all the Western countries.
Yes.
It came down, and these people took the power in their hands and established a system based on Islamic values. And you can remember well when we are talking about 1979, it was like, this is a dream, it's just a joke these people are doing. How can you establish a political system, an economic system based on Islamic foundations where people have been brainwashed that Islam is completely nothing, left to the pages of history.
Right.
And then today we find that that system is so powerful. Normally, people don't talk about it, but for those who are really scholars, they understand that what Islam has done in Iran is a real miracle for the 20th century.
Right.
Is a great miracle in the 20th century. Because you can see after just few years today, after 30 years we can talk, today Iran is a country which has achieved the scientific development, economic development, self-sufficiency with all of these, we call sanctions.
Right.
But that country is standing on those values. Sometimes you ask, how can this be possible? How do they achieve this? I mean, all the great powers thinking how to put down this revolution, but they are failing. It's really a miracle. So that is one of the lessons we can learn, that when we stand within the Islamic limits and those Islamic limits, we establish an Islamic government, definitely we can achieve a lot as far as development in all aspects. So that's one of the lessons we can take about. But another lesson is that Islamic system itself is a system which is for the modern world and is the only salvation for mankind. I was really astonished to understand this power within these people when the vice president of Iran came on visit, on official visit here to Tanzania. He's talking about today in the world we have two systems. Amazing. One system is the Western system when you talk about democracy and all of these.
Right.
And another system established in the world today, and which is showing now the way, is the Islamic system.
Islam, right.
Very strange. So today we understand that Islam is a solution for the world, and when it's established, definitely it brings in that development. No, the whole development. You see. So these are some of the benefits which we get from that great revolution. But there are many, definitely.
Yes, and just to tie this particular discussion to the last Holy Imam who is in occultation, we were discussing a bit earlier as to what should be the system in which should be in action during his occultation. How can this system of the Islamic divine system act as a means to hasten his reappearance? Because at this point in time, all of us believers are awaiting the reappearance of the Mahdi. What other schools of thought they refer to him as the Mahdi. Even our brothers from the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, as well as other religions. From the Islamic perspective, how can this system hasten this reappearance, and what is our role as individuals to further hasten it, or to bring about this system?
You see, when we refer to the Islamic revolution in Iran, some time ago, people were thinking that we are just people waiting for the Mahdi to come. And that kind of thinking was completely erroneous, because it makes somebody to be static. It means not becoming dynamic.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, but the real meaning is that we have a role to play to bring that perfect system in. Means all of us, we need to bring in a block to construct that reappearance. Why? Because that reappearance will not happen unless everything is grounded. Not grounded means everything is well established in such a manner that now the Imam is to be accepted and work on that ground.
Right.
So in that sense, then we talk about a dynamic. You're a dynamic, let's say,
society.
As we say, muntadir. I mean, now you're awaiting.
Awaiting, yes.
Yeah, but you are dynamic, and that society is dynamic, and that's exactly what happened in Iran, where people, no, we have to bring in down this system. We need to work hard, and then to bring in changes. So our role, I can say, is to understand first of all that no reappearance when we are not active. So reappearance, or means occultation, is supposed to make us more active. Because the Imam will not reappear unless we are really yearning for it, we are working for it, we are struggling. No, we are dying for it.
Correct.
So that's, anyhow.
Sheikh Mulabah, I can't think of a better way to close this discussion. May Allah bless you for your thoughts and wisdom. And we hope that you can join us for the show once again, inshallah.
Inshallah.
With that, we would like to close this discussion on leadership, and on the verse that we've been discussing today, which is verse number 124 of Sura al Baqarah. Once again, thank you for joining us in the show today, and we hope to see you soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.